I want you to imagine two things. One, imagine that in Afghanistan, that the conversation about pulling out, what's the date we're supposed to pull out? Y'all know what date we're supposed to come out of Afghanistan? July? 2011. Suppose that number was picked out of the air to give evidence that we're not going to stay in here as long as we stayed in Vietnam. Maybe they didn't mean it. But since they said it, why would you imagine to me that God's got a plan by which that's a good day, but it will not be based on increasing 30,000 troops. It will be based on 2 or 3 things. Number one, the poppy thing has got to be dealt with. And one of the ways to deal with drugs is, suppose part of the peace movement is getting folks to stop requiring so much heroin and so much dope to keep them happy. Maybe that's the way you go. In fact, you're going to have to do it in Mexico as well. Suppose the new peace offensive is we're going to get as many people unhooked as possible. Because if we can dry up some of the demand for it, maybe there'll be a need for a change in Afghanistan. But maybe, how many days is it until July 2011? Suppose the peace movement in America, just imagine that we decide that we're going to do 2 things. I think the way I call it is praying and imagining our way out of Afghanistan by July 2011. Every day between now and July, we ought to have all around the country prayer meetings. And not everybody going to pray every day. Maybe your movement needs to figure out who's going to pray tomorrow. And not only pray, but get to know what's going on in Afghanistan. I guarantee you, I think I'm inspired when I say there is a way that the Spirit of God could lead us to understand the dynamics in that land in such a way that praying every day and strategizing every day and getting some learning every day and then sending some dedication every day, we could possibly surprise these folks that think they're going to bomb their way out of Afghanistan to be informed. No, there's another way. I really don't think I'm stupid when I say that a movement that decided that every day we will mobilize people for prayer, but we will also seek wisdom about how we, without the arguments, can impact that land. Maybe they want peace. Maybe if they could only be extricated from it. Maybe there needs to be an exorcism. That has been the land of war for as long as most of us can remember. Suppose God decides, I'd like to have Afghanistan for myself. I'd like to do a bold experiment there to show that the future of civilization is not based on Afghanistan being in one place that's the graveyard of the nations. Imagine it! But not only that, imagine that an interfaith cooperation for imagining a world of peace, justice, and compassion. And furthermore, imagine that the peace movement get mature enough to recognize that peace got to be found in the homes if there's going to be peace in the community, that if there's going to be peace in the nation. And that we've got to have peace with the rest of the occupants in this great cosmos of ours. Ecological peace and stop ravaging the earth. Oh, I don't know. I know my time is up, and I know that I can really get carried away when I start imagining. But I want you to imagine that you who walked these miles today, and who've been on this trail for 50 years organizationally, that because of your faithfulness, at this point in history, as you go to your study groups, as you engage in conversation with experts, as you have your prayer meetings, it may be revealed to us what could make a dramatic impact in our nation. What we do with this grand experiment in Afghanistan, maybe we will surprise the nations and generations to come. that there was a period when there was a war that was clearly destined for 10, 15 more years of the carnage of our kids. That God, in a strange time, did some legendary things, like in 2 Kings. And the war was such that the troops could come home and we could start spending our money to be able to pay for the health care reform that will be coming in just a few more days. Just imagine, but we can't imagine. Please stand up. It's time to close this sermon. Stand up and close this sermon. This is the way you know your part, right? So let's just do your part, and then give me a chance to ask 2 more verses, and then we'll be through. But you got to, since it's a March time, you've all been traveling all day, so I know you're in good shape. Come on, get on the path. Get on the path. Get on the path. I'll meet you there. Let's get on the path and stay on the path. God will meet us there. Now just keep on. Soothe our feet from the weary road, to lift the weight of our heavy load, to wipe the tears from our weary eyes, and to call all nations for peace, sunrise. Now get on the path. Get on the path. Get on the path. I'll meet you there. Let's get on the path and stay on the path. The Lord will meet us there. Job got on the path, and the path got caught. His wife cried out, "Why don't you curse your God?" His so-called friend scandalized his name. He waited patiently until deliverance came. Now get on the path. Get on the path. Get on the path. I'll meet you there. Let's get on the path and stay on the path. The Lord will meet us there. Now let's say, Esther the queen, oh what beauty and grace, heard of the plot to destroy her race. She fasted and prayed, what path shall I take? I'll take the path of freedom for my people's sake. Now get on the path, get on the path, get on the path, I'll meet you there. Let's get on the path and stay on the path. The Lord will meet us there. Martin Luther King, prophet, preacher, and priest, laid down his life for the last and the least. Heart full of love and the touch of God's hand gave him courage on the path to the promised land. Now get on the path, get on the path, get on the path, I'll meet you there. Get on the path and stay on the path.